34.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
We're having all kinds of fun today.
Yes. Is there just two of us then?
Sorry, my
Yeah,
dog is
just you.
going crazy.
It's just
Snyder and I.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm calling in from Edenville Township. Sorry if I missed that.
Okay. Well, first order of business. There's finance director submits proposed adjustments to the 2021 budget for known variances. I guess that's you, Mike. You're on.
Okay, great. Thanks. Appreciate it. Well, this will be hopefully fairly quick. On an annual basis. So to back up, when we put the budget together, in the late summer, early fall, we don't know what the renewal rates for our health insurance will be. So we essentially just book an estimate of what we think they'll be. Typically, right around the start of the year, we'll get actual illustrative rate changes from Brown & Brown, our insurance contractor that we work with. So this entry is primarily to adjust the budgeted health insurance based on the actual renewal rates, which I talked in a little bit in the memo. We had a pretty modest increase of 4% for 2021. The actual increase, and we can talk more about this too, but ended up being nearly 21%, which is quite high. There's some reasons for that, but the good news is when we project the budget, if we have open positions, for instance, we assume it will be a family plan. At this time of the year, we have a better idea of who's been hired in positions, any changes. So luckily, we didn't have to make a 17% increase in health insurance across the board. It was a little bit less than that. So that's the largest part of this request. And then the other two pieces were an increase to the drain commissioner's budget. He's requesting some technical or specialized legal support on drain issues that he's that they're currently working on. And then the Register of Deeds also had an amendment request to increase the contractors for her automation fund for an annual web hosting fee. And I believe they both provided letters in the packets, discussing in a little bit more detail what those budget adjustments were for. So any questions that either of you have?
Mike, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, I can talk a little bit louder. I might not have the best, I'm using the computer mic, so it may not be. Can you hear me a little bit better if I speak a little bit louder?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Well, yeah, Jim, just to recap, so this is primarily an adjustment to get the illustrative health insurance rates to what the actual renewal was. So when the budget was approved, we just have to guess basically what we think the increase will be, because that's in usually late summer, early fall. So that's the bulk of the entry is to increase the health insurance premiums for what the actual amount will be. And then the other two pieces of it was a small budget increase from the drain commissioner, which I see he's online now. His primarily was to secure some specialized legal drain attorney assistance. And then we also had a budget adjustment for the Register of Deeds automation fund. they have a somewhat new online system for folks to look up the registered deeds information. So this is just to cover an annual web hosting fee for that service. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Thanks, Mike. I was reading through everything. Commissioner Geisler, may I ask a question?
Pardon?
May I ask a question?
No, I have no questions. Do you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
So just to refresh my memory, for Joe's, it looks like there was 2,000, and then for the other, I think it was less than 6,000, and they each have their own budgets. Is this on top of, like, is this in addition to their budgets? It wasn't real clear to me, so maybe I'm just misunderstanding.
No, yes. So, we set they set the baseline budget. And so this would be an increase to each of those overall budgets. Sometimes, depending on what the charge is, departments can, allocate between, different line items. So it doesn't need to come to the Board of Commissioners. But in both these cases, we just thought, it'd be best to bring it to you because it'll be an overall increase in the budget, partly too, because it's just so early in the year. We don't know, because we try to have budgets somewhat close to what we expect them to actually be. At this point in the year, we wouldn't know if there's any sort of a room to, adjust some accounts for maybe things that didn't happen that were budgeted. So.
Okay, so in the Drain Commission, it's $2,000 for professional services, and he
Yes.
doesn't have, I'm not remembering his budget. He doesn't have any professional services built into his budget.
No, not for that. Not for this type of contractual services. And what he had in at this point in the year, everything else that had been in the initial budget, we're still planning on doing. So this would be something that was additional that came up after the budget was approved back in October. And then if for the Register of Deeds Automation Fund, that was $7,800. And that is an increase to their, that's a smaller fund. And that was one that was definitely wasn't known at the time of the budget preparation. So we were required to increase their budget for that as well.
Okay. All right, thanks. Am I understanding that right, Bridget? It was just maybe their budget is really lean, or how they budgeted in October, and maybe this will shake out at the end?
For which department? Because they're two different, the drain budget is different than the Register of Deeds Automation Fund. They're different reasonings, right? So the drain budget is really, they haven't really had a separate legal fund or legal services account, which they've found a need for, particularly last year when all the lawsuits, that although they were not legitimate and they got dismissed, there was a lot of very specific legal work that required someone who's an expert on the Michigan drain law to review.
Okay.
And when you think about it, Bill's office can provide a lot of real general corporation counsel product for us, but we still do have other departments that have accounts for specialized legal, whether it's like in HR, we have a labor attorney. this is just another example of that. As far as the registration of the Register of Deeds Automation Fund, this is annual web hosting that they want to have that is outside of our website.
Okay.
So, and this fund can be used for that. It has to be used for technology related purchases for the Register of Deeds.
Okay. I needed a
I've-
little more detail on the drain commissioners, and I should have asked prior to this. I read it and I didn't really understand it as per his letter.
Okay.
If he's gonna need, do you
Joe's on.
foresee?
Joe's on
Do
the
you-
line if you'd like to ask him that question. Joe's on the
Okay.
meeting.
To you or to Joe or to Mike, since we have some issues, it sounds like, that may be ongoing, is 2,000, does that look like it's going to be enough for the year? Or should we make it like 4,000 in case something like this comes up again? Or just do it each time? Does it look like there's gonna be some residual? It sounds like we might have more.
Maybe. Joe, did you want to
Okay.
answer that? Well, I see he's on. Maybe he stepped away. Honestly, Jeanette, I'm perfectly fine doing this sort of piecemeal because what can happen is we get further into the year. If the drain budget has excess funds in another account, we may not need to come back to the board. We can maybe right size within his budget if that's necessary. Oh, there he is.
All right.
Sorry about that. I lost you.
That's
Uh,
Our office.
Okay, so basically, my predecessor has been in the Drain Commission office for a bunch of years, a couple decades. And there are some practices that he may have been doing his entire time, but there may be a different way of doing something. And we have been posed with some questions that I just couldn't answer, and I wanted an opinion on it. And then also, we may have an occasion where we need to ask an attorney about a particular part of the code. We don't have budget for that because typically everything that we spend, we bill it to a drainage district. So if we have a general question regarding the code, we don't have a drainage district to charge that to. So, and because our budget is pretty lean as far as other things, we have salaries and we have some office and some vehicle budget. We don't have specific budget for something like this. It's more general and not related to a drainage district.
Right. Okay. That all makes sense. All right. Thanks. I'm good.
This year is going to be an exceptionally large drain budget, is it not?
Is that question for me?
Yeah,
We've got two projects that are underway right now that are being financed. But as far as other projects where we actually start spending money, we have some projects that are coming up that will be doing some engineering evaluation and whatnot. But from a legal standpoint, I'm not concerned about legal issues concerning a specific drainage district because we will pay for those within that drainage district.
okay. Makes sense. I'd entertain a
Okay.
motion.
This is very helpful for me. I make a motion
I support.
for the budget judgments.
All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. We got two ayes. That passes. Anything else to come before the finance committee? There being none, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Support.